Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel. Give this video a like.
Podcast below in the description. Check that out now.
John, now that the Super Bowl is done, I think the thing we're all waiting for is when Carson Wentz is going to get traded. The reports are that it's going to be happening, and it's going to be happening soon. That's what developed over the weekend. So as we roll into Monday, you figure maybe, like you suggested, the Eagles and whoever might trade for him took Sunday off. Just stay out of the way of the Super Bowl. Although by the third quarter, we could have used a Wentz trade. Now maybe this thing picks up on Monday.
Hold up, Guy. I'm getting a phone call. Howie, how much? You can't talk? Roger said not till tomorrow. He said that the NFL said no trade talk at all Sunday. Trade talk can resume Monday morning, Guy. Howie Roseman, and I listen, you don't do anything like this without the owner being involved. Like this, for as much as this is how he's going to facilitate the trade, right, and doing, this is a thumbs up from the owner. Like, to me, that's where I think the owner wants Carson Wentz traded. I'm not saying that Howie is not behind it. I don't think they even care what Nick Sirianni thinks. This is not even his option. But to me, this is a Jeffrey Lurie play. I think we can start to talk about Jeffrey Lurie a little bit as, and I'm not saying this is even a bad thing, but he meddles a little bit. Like, he believes he's got an impact in the front office, and he's leading to push Carson Wentz away, which, listen, we've all heard some rumblings. I think only the people who were in that building, I'd say the last 6 months, probably have stories that would blow you away on what's really going down. But I'd say once it's now become official, this guy's going to get dealt. It's pretty fucking nuts, right? They do not like this guy.
No.
The play was bad, but you and I talked about on the live stream before, and just anyone that's watched football, quarterbacks have, unless you're Tom Brady, can have a down year. Rodgers a couple years ago had bad years. Rivers had a couple bad years. Breeze had a couple moments. That's human nature. I actually think you can learn to respect a guy on your team who goes through a shitty year. If he handles it the right way, he actually becomes more endearing to you, right?
Especially when
as a GM, as a coach, as an owner,
to his teammates, to his fan base, especially a fan base that would respect somebody picking themselves up. I think every fan base respects that. The Eagles fans are.
Rocky didn't win every fight, Guy.
No, he did not, and it's what makes the journey great, right? If you never fall down, what's the story of you getting up? And I think for as devastating as it must have been for him personally to watch the Eagles win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, it was part of writing this opportunity for him, which he never took advantage of. And I will say, in Carson's defense, the teams around him were not great since the Super Bowl. But I also think if he was beloved, respected, if he was clearly the leader of that organization, you just think about the money they're paying him, what they invested in him from a draft capital standpoint, the fact that they had to make a decision, right? Do we keep Foles or do we trade Foles? And they traded Foles in part because he made Carson uncomfortable. Now, that would have been maybe the right decision anyway, but they did so much for him.
It kind of happened twice, because remember the next year when they won the game at the Bears, but Carson had gotten hurt forget what week, but early in December, and they were playing shitty. Foles comes in, they start winning some games, and they win a playoff game. It wasn't just the Super Bowl. It kind of bled into the following year.
Ideally, if you were them, you would have brought Foles back again to be your backup again the next year, right? But
but they were did him a solid. They didn't franchise tag him.
They did him a solid, and they did Wentz. Part of it was to keep to tell Wentz, no, this is your,
trying to broker the peace between the sides.
Or Wentz said, I need this guy out of here. Whatever the case is, if you loved him,
which isn't crazy, he might have indirectly said that, right?
I believe that he did. I believe that he did. But it's not
the nicest guy in the league.
Foles.
I mean, it'd be one thing, right, if the other guy was Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, two egos. Most people like Foles. Weird deal. Not a great sign.
It's crazy that they're trading him. Yeah, it's because to your point, I think you said it perfectly. The money, even the poor performance. It's not as if now maybe somebody would disagree with this. I didn't watch Jalen Hurts and think, okay, time to move on from Wentz. You can just shift your organization here, and Jalen Hurts can be the starting quarterback of the future. I would be a little surprised if they feel that way internally. What do you think? Do they?
I have on pretty good resources, I don't think he has anything to
There's
do
nothing
with
to it. So that's what makes this even more shocking.
They don't view Jalen Hurts as like some future Dak Prescott or
well,
something.
some people will misinterpret it when they trade Carson. Mark my words. But that doesn't that make this even crazier?
Decision. Yeah.
So now we've got this whole thing where they want 2-1s was the report.
That's why, guy. I think it's very just even before we get to the compensation. If we put Carson Wentz on the Niners, maybe we would know more and be able to like vocalize more about internally how crazy it is. I would be very, very careful about trading this human being because you are getting rid of him without a quarterback, and maybe you don't care. You're just trying to blow it up. But to me, wherever you send him, you have to be able to come to grips with you're getting a divorce right now from a girl who can change and put on some makeup and lose a couple pounds and look like a 9 or 10 again fast. And she's going to have people like she could like marry some sweet dude. All of a sudden, Carson could just be back in the pro. Like his talent is immense. I just think it'll keep you up a little bit at night once the season starts. Like, God, has he playing well over there? You know?
So let me say this.
His talent is just elite. His physical gifts are just pretty special.
What you just said, I agree with. So I'll just put a period on that before I say what I'm about to say, because I agree with what you just said. But I think sometimes from the outside, a situation can be viewed very differently than it was on the inside. Like sometimes you get divorced from a gorgeous woman, she gets even better looking, and people look at you and think like, man, isn't that hard for you to watch? And you've been through whatever you've been through, and you just don't see that person the way you used to see that person and the way the rest of the world sees that person. And it might be that the Eagles are willing to let him win somewhere else because of how they feel about him on the inside. I don't mean inside their souls. I mean just like in their building. Like they can't they don't want to win with him.
I think they're at that point, and I think it starts with the owner, where they can go, I don't give a shit if she marries Tom Brady.
Right.
Or if she marries Jeff Bezos. Good luck to her. Godspeed. Just get out of my house, which is fine. In the relationship analogy, you can stomach. You don't even care what the other people around you think.
Well, you only answer to yourself.
In football, you do, even though you don't answer to your fans, they're just, especially in that town, it would be loud. And I don't even think they like him in the town, but it'll be forgotten in 2 years if I tell you he's the quarterback of the Chicago Bears and they're in the NFC Championship game and the Eagles win 3 games.
You only win and you only lose. Like you win or you lose.
But like, let's say the Niners call you. Like, would you be comfortable? And I know the Saints are $7 million or $70 million over the salary cap or whatever. A team like, are you comfortable trading him to someone that you know is a great coach? I think you would hesitate. I think you would like to trade him somewhere that you hope would just be a disaster too, right?
Well, that's Philadelphia. That's the place. You wish the Eagles were out there. You could send him there. I mean, I guess. But are you going to not? Is Howie Roseman really going to take a lesser deal?
Well, to me, because he's not like Jalen Ramsey or Khalil Mack, where it's just like everyone's like, well, I'm going to get a sweet deal no matter what. There might be like the one deal that's 30% better than the next best deal.
And part of why you're trading him is because you don't believe in him anymore.
It's pretty nuts that Carson Wentz is going to be starting quarterback for someone else. Like Jared Goff, it's crazy because no one thought they could get rid of the contract, and you just watch him, you go, he's not that talented. I think the Carson thing is a guy of that talent. Typically, the team holds on to too long, right? Yeah. I mean, they're selling like, fuck it, he's out, right? They're just throwing the trash away. Just, I don't even care, take it.
Do you think? I think this would be even more shocking if Goff hadn't been traded, because I think we looked at them in the same way. In that you just looked at their contract and said they're never trading. How are you going to trade Goff? Same deal. Like you're not trading Wentz. You're stuck with him.
You think that inspired the Eagles? Like,
I think a little bit it might have. Yeah, I do.
They got Matt Stafford. They got Matt Stafford coming back though. So the dead money, who cares?
There's no doubt.
You got nothing coming.
But it was just one of these like, do you think Goff got traded? And Jeffrey was like, so Howie, could we trade Carson? I just assumed we couldn't. But I mean, they just traded Goff. Could we trade Carson?
Well,
and you go, well, I mean, his high end film is going to be better than Goff's.
Andrew Brandt said if the trade goes down, it'll be the biggest dead cap hit in the history of the league.
What is it, like $70 million more?
No, it's 50? Like 30, 35 or something for one player.
That's pretty massive.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Player. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like what dead cap hit makes the owner go like, oh, like $3 million makes the owner be like, oh.
Well,
the
to me,
GM.
to me that just shows you they don't care. They don't care where he goes. But you can think whatever. I just know the way any fan base, because I just know the Niners had the equivalent. Like if the Niners trade Jimmy G and he goes on to kill it, and the Niners are struggling in a couple of years, it's just the nature of the conversation. Like, why couldn't you have figured it out? How did he? Just. And it's even different because you drafted him, you cultivated him, he was your guy, you guys pampered him. Like, it's even different when you draft a guy. Like, he's theirs. That's gonna be it's gonna reverberate the whole franchise. I mean, it's gonna be, to me, the Goff thing, because it was clear after the Super Bowl. It's like, Jared's got a ceiling, right? The Carson thing was like, this guy could be a franchise changer, right? And be elite in the NFL, like just go on a run and be one of the premier players. And then you drafted this guy. They got all this credit, and then he just completely became a bum, worst quarterback in the league, to trade it. I mean, it happened. The snowball, rolling down the mountain grew into an avalanche fast, and just there was no stopping it. And it feels like it's just unstoppable now. I still was a little surprised when it was just like it became clear this weekend, like he's gone.
I'll still be surprised when it happens.
Me too.
Like, I'm waiting for it, but because
I think
he's
talented enough. There could be like a mystery team sniffing around.
So
right?
Colts, Bears, Niners,
Washington, Carolina. I'd say that I know it's weird because they're money, but the Saints would have to sniff around. Again, weird money situation. They got problems. You see, Breeze went from 25 to 1 million. It signified that he's going to retire. Gotcha. So basically, he was on the books for $25 million and like a $25 million cap hit. He took his salary down to the veteran minimum, and once he retires post June 1, they can spread it out over 2 years. So he'll only be because they've pushed his salary back for a decade every year. Just pushing it back. Even though I'm like, isn't he a free agent? But they still owe him money, on the cap. And the Eagles do a lot of that too. And I mean, the Niners have kind of done some of that. It's human nature. I heard someone say this. Every team does it because the Patriots made a killing. You're always living in the moment, trying to win that year. That's what a good organization does. So I can't kill you when you owe a bill. Like the Saints owe the bill. Why? Because they've been doing everything possible to win.
No doubt.
Right?
Yep.
So it's just, but his contract, let's say his cap hit was $20 million even, instead of crazy numbers. Don't you think a lot of people would be interested in trading for him, just in general? He's part of it is he's expensive and he might not be good. Because if he was cheaper and talented but not that good, I think people would be more interested.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I also think his presence, all the other stuff, is also part of what drives this.
Well, if he was Jared Goff.
The guy?
Everyone just kind of the guy.
Yeah.
I don't think they're trading him, right?
No, I don't think so.
McVay hated Jared Goff.
And they got Stafford back. He still had to get Stafford, right? Made it worth it because they got Stafford back.
But would they have cut Jared Goff?
I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. No. But they got Stafford. It feels like these guys would cut him.
Yeah, they might.
Wentz. I don't know. That would be even crazier. But let's guess right now, what do you think the compensation is? A 1 and a 2?
I'm going to go 1-3. Howie's
player
tries to
Kiko Alonso.
He'll want some random dude that can play. So you feel like you can justify a little bit more. I'll go 1-4 to player. He makes a shitload of money, and there's a lot of negativity on the streets out there on him. And it was pretty clear, based on all the reporters, that Howie kind of got laughed at for his initial asking price. Right?
I got
it. Isn't that what it felt like on Saturday?
And it's the question. My only question was it the Bears or was it the Colts? And I think my guess is it was the Colts. Because my guess is Ballard is the guy that's going to laugh at you when you ask for 2-1. Now, I know he traded a 1 for DeForest, but to me, Ballard is the guy who's like, okay, Frank, because Ballard's probably telling
DeForest was a team captain Pro Bowler.
Yeah, hey, just for the record, Frank likes him, but Frank doesn't love him. Frank wants him, but it's because we don't have another quarterback, Howie, so you're not getting 2 1s.
I bet if you ask Chris Ballard if he was on a 3-way with us right now, I said, did you get your money's worth for DeForest Buckner? He's like, we underpaid for him. Yeah. His value, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing with Carson. And we'll talk about it with Darnold. We'll talk about any quarterback that's traded. If that guy is good for you, it's hard to underpay, man. It really is hard to underpay. Or, excuse me, overpay. Unless you're giving like 4 ones. But if you give a 1 and a 2 and Wentz is in a Pro Bowl for you next year if you're the Colts, that's fucking stealing, guy. Because you have a Pro Bowler under contract. Now, to go from the worst quarterback in the league, which he was this year as a starter, to a Pro Bowl is a wide margin. But if I told you that Wentz, like through 8 games next year, is like having a really good season, that's not unbelievable, is it? You would think he's going to be pretty motivated. You would hope, unless he's just a complete clown.
How would the Niners get him? Like, you're not trading 12.
Could you offer 2 this year and a 1 next year?
Yeah, you could. Would you take that if you were Philly?
What if the next best offer was a 1 and a 3?
I would take the 1 in this year's draft.
But I think the point is this year's draft's a little up in the air. You don't know that much about guys, especially in like after like the top 10. And maybe Howie's like really trying to suck, a little Lion style. You try to suck, you don't even waste your pick this year. You get him on the contract next year when you're kind of. Would you do that right now? If I told you that Wentz could be had, you're 2 this year and a 1 next year.
Yeah, I probably would. And I don't think he's very good right now. And I'm pretty concerned about the guy. But I also think
I just know it wouldn't fly with Kyle. But then the problem is, what if Wentz just doesn't change? You have a disaster.
I don't think we can just assume like it's not going to fly with Kyle. Like this guy has obviously been pretty difficult in an organization.
No. My point is, it won't fly with Kyle. Wentz doesn't change. Then they hate each other, and then he's gone in 2 years. That's my point.
That's a disaster.
Yeah. My point is, when I say it won't fly, that means because Carson's a pain in the ass, and then they boom butt heads.
And then you know what'd be really bad is if he wasn't great in 2021, and then you still haven't even your first round pick still hasn't. It's like it's still sitting out there, about to be used by them. I'd
say.
It's like Zach Wilson's throwing lasers all over the place.
Yeah, even if you just miss the playoffs and they get like pick 15, that's a massive win for the Eagles.
I would not feel good about trading a 1, but here's the thing: it's not like the Eagles are good. The Eagles can play hardball a little bit because it's not like they're saving any money. Like it's hurting them either way.
No. There's a little mindset to me with quarterbacks. If you do believe internally you can save a guy, a little risk it for the biscuit, man. There is a little bit of like take a swing, but it's a little bit like a prop bet. It does pay out really well. Like if you get Carson on your team and he's playing well, like the thing we're gonna get into Sam Darnold, like I don't know if he's any good. I at least know he has physical attributes to run that offense. What if he's sweet?
I think 1 and a 4 is not. I think it's either like a 1. I think it's either like a 1 and a 3 or 2 2s.
I don't think they're trading. I think they're getting a first round pick.
Well, I think they're getting.
Maybe I'm overvaluing it.
No, all it takes is one team to think another team is.
I think it shows you that quarterbacks. If Carson Wentz was the equivalent of like Khalil Mack, I'm just saying like he played that position, and he's been a pain in the ass. Then he comes off a season like what would be the equivalent of like a defensive end season? 1 sack, average effort, getting pulled
missed
off the
tackles
field all the time. You'd be like, no one and like huge money, making like $18 million a year. He'd get cut. No one would touch him. Finally, Belichick would sign him in like July, right? And with a quarterback, it's like, yeah, he'd probably get a 1. It's just they're a little bit like, it's just crazy that their price doesn't diminish that much. Carson couldn't have been any worse.
How about
on or off the field?
How about Bill? Just watched Tom win the Super Bowl. And was like, fuck it, trades for Carson.
Not inconceivable. I got a Bill nugget a little later coming up.
Okay.